Hey, it's good to be back, and I got Gary Harbaugh he's going to be teaching the next component of our class. And Gary, from the time I came on here, has been just a right-hand guy and has a real love for small groups and an understanding for the potential that's in them. So Gary, here you go.
Thanks, Mitch. Good morning.
Good morning, dear.
Good. I like that. I like that. We're starting obviously on page 13, and this is going to talk about leadership responsibilities. I'm going to start with a very short story. I have a nephew that went to West Point, and from day one there, they have all kinds of, just as you can imagine, sort of outrageous things for them to do. They got to get up really early in the morning, shine their shoes a certain way, dress a certain way, make their bed a certain way, all kinds of things. And these people are being trained to be leaders. But the first test of leadership is not, can you lead?
Can you follow?
The first test is, can you follow? Will you follow? Will you take direction? Will you do what you're asked to do? And so all of you have passed the first test of leadership because you've shown up for training. So that's good. Congratulations. Before a person can consider becoming a leader, there's just a few conditions to be met. There's something you have to do to Mitch Mosier there. Anybody got a guess what goes in that blank?
Good morning.
Earlier it was suggested that he would hold out his hand and you would kiss his ring, but I don't think. Okay, well, Mitch is probably going to say, wait a minute now. You just need to meet with Mitch and let him know what you want to teach, what material you're going to be using, things like that. Anybody that wants to lead needs to meet with Mitch and get an understanding about that. The other basic things I'm sure you've imagined, people are going to lead through the church, need to have trusted Christ as their Lord and Savior. Everybody wants a Savior. Not everybody wants a Lord that they submit to, but part of it is having trusted Christ in that way. Number two, you accept the Bible as the authoritative guide for your life and faith. Number three, you participate or worship and participate regularly in the church. And so participating, if you're leading, that's a step in participation. But people that are going to be leaders need to be more than people who come and warm a chair on a Sunday. And I know that all of you would fill that qualification. The last one is you agree to follow the leadership and fulfill leadership responsibilities. Can't be a lone ranger out there doing, taking people off on a weird trail. You need to follow what the leadership of the church is and then fulfill those responsibilities. The most basic role of a leader is to be a shepherd to the group. And so that first blank there is you are a shepherd. And we've kind of lost touch in our culture today. There aren't many people who are shepherds. I don't think there's anybody probably around here that works as a shepherd over sheep. But a shepherd cares for and guides the flock. That's what a shepherd does within a growth group. The first duty, the first thing you want to think about is connecting people to community. A small group is a growth group really is a group of people who meet together, study together, but importantly, they connect with each other. And you want to make people feel like they are a part of something. They are a part of a group that is not just individuals, but they're also together as a group. One of the things you can do is introduce unconnected people, unconnected friends to each other. So if you have not just within the group, but as you come to church on a Sunday morning, if you have friends, introduce them maybe to people that are in your group. Introduce people in your group to other people throughout the church because it helps to build community within the church at large if people know each other. You can invite outside people to a social event. Generally, your calendar will be set up so that your last event of the year will be a social event. It's a great time to invite other people to come to the group just on that basis. There's no pressure on them to like, oh, well, they want me to join this group. No, this is the last week. Just say, hey, we're going to get together and have dinner. We're going to get together and have a picnic. Invite people to something like that. Again, that helps connect people. Maybe somebody that's reluctant to join a group, though, would come to that social event. Create an environment that fosters genuine relationships. You can use icebreakers or crowd breakers. If you go online and Google icebreaker questions, you can find a number of websites. There are many of them that have questions specifically for church groups. It can be any kind of a question. It can be a question that maybe takes a couple minutes, or one that's real quick that people just answer. But if you have everybody say, who's your best friend in high school, something like that, it gets people kind of communicating with each other and getting to know each other. And once people get to know each other a little bit, they'll start feeling comfortable. They'll open up more and more. You want to promote and model openness and accountability. So you want to be open with your group. If you have an icebreaker question, make sure that you open up and you participate in that as well. And for accountability, you might want to let people know in your group, say to them, I'm going to pray for everybody in this group this week. And next week when you come, feel free to ask me if I remember to pray for you. And that says, hey, I'm going to be accountable to you. And it kind of introduces that whole idea of accountability within the group. I'm going to plan activities and discussions that encourage spiritual transformation and open relationships. And it's very key to ask questions that make people think and open up and engage in discussion. So you don't want to ask a simple question like that has a yes or no answer. You want to try to draw out people with questions that are going to make them think. Do not be afraid to ask a question and just have silence. You ask a question, sometimes you don't have anybody in your group that jumps up and wants to talk right away. Just be quiet, and maybe it'll take 10 seconds, 20 seconds, which seems like a really long time if there's silence. But if you just wait, eventually somebody will speak. And so ask those kind of questions and then just let people muster on that a little bit until they come up and talk. Another thing to do is if somebody in your group, they bring out an opinion, instead of letting that ball bounce back to you, just leave it there and wait for somebody else in the group to respond. That way you get that discussion going around the group. Also, you can consider using stories. Tell a story from your own experience, things like that. That sort of invites other people to share a story. Another thing to consider doing in building community is to break up into subgroups. Maybe a little difficulty getting people going talking. Sometimes you break up, instead of you have a group of 10, you have 2 groups of 5. Sometimes people are more inclined to open up that way, and it gives more people an opportunity to talk if you're in smaller groups. Another thing to do is share responsibilities, leading, discussing, social time, praying, serving. We'll be talking a little more about that, but be willing to share responsibilities. If people take a little bit of responsibility within a group, that helps to build that community and build the group as being a group that is a group of equals that are all sharing together. It's not just you're up here leading and they're following, but it's a group of equals where other people are also participating in responsibilities. So that first responsibility is connecting people to community. The second one is to develop the members of your group. First one, as you probably guessed there, the first word is pray for your group members. I'm going to try to make it a habit to pray daily or a few times during the week, each week, for the members of your group. And if you ask for prayer requests within the group, people will tell you things that you can pray for them about specifically. Other than that, pray for them generally. Pray that the Lord be at work in them, growing them, helping to mature them, that the Lord will make it possible for them to come each week, things like that.